Hello, this is Greg Mertens, Director of Product Education for the parent company of GraphicsFlow, Inksoft, and Printavo. And today we are going to take a deep dive into the new stock art customizer. So if you are on a GraphicsFlow Elite plan, the stock art customizer has been enabled in your GraphicsFlow account. And the way that you can tell is quite simple. If you click on a graphic, you will see a little notice in the upper right-hand corner. It says Customize. You can click that, and you can now edit all the design templates right directly in the GraphicsFlow app. And what that means is you can also edit these files on your tablet, on your phone, if you choose. Mac, Windows doesn't make it. And so what we're doing, it's a little bit different than a traditional graphics program. There's no ability to go in and select things and move things around, because we're doing all the manipulation of the original CorelDRAW or Illustrator file server. So we're actually using the full power of these graphics programs to do the editing, as opposed to a simple SVG engine that's live in the graphics program. So if I go over here and I change this to 30th, what's actually happening is we're changing the file server, and we're telling the server to update the file, and then it's just updating the preview in real time. And so the basic concept is allowing anyone, regardless of their skill set, to go in and create wonderful looking graphics without having any previous knowledge of a graphics program. And so I just went in here, made a couple changes, and I'll go in here and change the date, and we'll change this to different family. Hit enter. If I want to turn things on or off, So I'm going to turn that whole background. I wouldn't want to do that, but if I want to turn that whole background off, I can turn that off, or I can turn it back on, which looks a little bit better, I think, and then swap the colors. So I'm going to come over here where we got that navy blue, and we're going to do my new favorite color combination. So we're purple in there, and we're going to make this kind of a fun, kind of a teal green, and hit apply. And at this point, let's see, we got a little bit of burgundy in there, but I'm actually gonna change that to kind of an off-white. Get that going. And you've added the design. So for many of you who are used to downloading the files into CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator to do your editing, or many of you are using the Smart Designer add-on software for CorelDRAW, it's no longer a requirement to use those programs to do the editing. You're going to do the editing in the stock art customizer, and then when you're all done, you're going to save the file. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to save this to a folder on my hard drive, or actually not on my hard drive, on my GraphicsFlow account. So I just have a whole bunch of files in here. I'm going to hit save, and if I want to edit this file, say in CorelDRAW, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit CDR. I'm going to download the CDR version of. I'll just open that file up in CorelDRAW. So I'll just go File, Open. And the file is going to open up in Corel. And if I want to do further editing to this file, I have the latitude to do that. So I just wanted to give you a quickie little overview. We're going to get quite a bit deeper into it. I'm going to turn my webcam off right now so we can get full screen. So shut that down. So now you can see full screen. But this file, when this file came into CorelDRAW, this is all fully editable. All the text here is live. If you're using the Smart Designer software, you can go over here and click on Edit Text. What you'll want to do is just hit the little Recycle button to let the software know that there's a new graphic in your working space. And you can edit this just like you could previously in Smart Designer, but you can do all that initial editing right in GraphicsFlow. Now, if you're using Adobe Illustrator, or let's say Affinity Designer or Inkscape to do your editing, you're going to download the PDF file, and the text that comes in on the PDF file is going to be converted to curves. So in that respect, you want to make sure you've done your text editing in the GraphicsFlow app before you download the file. You can still go and ungroup things and move things around and change colors and add and delete and all that kind of fun stuff, but the text in the PDF variant is going to be converted to curves. And you also notice there was a PNG option in there as well. In the PNG option, that's a low resolution, I would say medium resolution PNG file. And that file is designed for a social media post, or if you're making a virtual sample, or if you want to bring this into your e-commerce software and showcase it in your e-commerce. It's enough resolution that you can see what's going on, but it's not a print resolution. And so if you want a print resolution file, then you would download the PDF file right there. And it was interesting. I was doing a YouTube video this morning on prepping artwork for direct-to-film and hybrid transfers. And I specifically was using the artwork guidelines from Supacolor, and they're very specific. They said, hey, give us a PDF file. That's what we need, is a PDF file. You could just download this PDF file and you'd be good to go in terms of sending this out to a supplier. So it's a production ready file. Now you can also add this art file to an art approval right now. So if I go over here and click on art approval, and I could create a new art approval, we could just call this Martinez Family Reunion 2023. Put any kind of description in here. And this is how we'd share this file with the customer. Now, the thing that's important to recognize here, you can come back and edit. Once you've made the changes to this file, you can come back and open up this Martinez file, and you can change that to anything you want. Once it's been edited, that template can be edited over and over again, and you can create additional variations. If I clicked on continue customizing here, we could go back and make changes to the file. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to back up a little here. We're going to go to the art approval that we created, and I'll show you what's going on over there. So if I go over here to the art approval, here's Martinez Family Reunion, and we have the graphics file in there. And I can go in here and just click on it, and we can put this on a different color background. I'm thinking that might look good. Let's see what it looks like on black. On black, we might be a little bit too dark with the purple, but we'll know here in a second. It actually does work. And this is how you'd share it with your customer. So if you're familiar with using GraphicsFlow, you know about being able to grab a sharing link. And what I'll do is go over here and grab a share link. And two ways to share that. Way number one is I could just add an email in here, and just put an email in here, and I could, on this email, pick the type of email I want to send out an email link that's comment only, or an email link that's view only, or an email link where the customer can comment and approve. So that's one way of doing it. And when you do it this way, you can designate by person what kind of link they're going to get. But the way most folks are doing it is just grabbing a link here, either a commenting link, a comment and approve link, or a view only link, and copying and pasting that into their own email, or even cooler is copy and paste it into a text message. So if you had a customer that was not really, gets a lot of emails and wasn't really responding to your text messaging, you can certainly use the link in here, and or excuse me, they were not responding to your email. You could use the link and just give them a little nudge with the text messaging. And so you would utilize that to either get an idea in front of the customer, or if you're trying to get final approval on the artwork so you can go to production. So that's the basic workflow. And so, in terms of what you can do with the stock art customizer, we're going to go in quite a bit deeper into the software and show you kind of all the nuance of editing. But before we do that, I do want to point out one thing, is you can edit your clip art this way too. So if you go to clip art and you just needed a tiger mascot, you can go in and edit that clip art before you even download it to get the color situated exactly the way you want. So, something like this that's fairly complicated, it's got a lot of colors in it, it might be easier for you to just customize this right now in GraphicsFlow before downloading it. So I'm going to go over here and we're going to grab this brown, and I'm going to make this a navy blue. And then I'm going to grab this kind of lighter color here. We're going to grab this color and consolidate it with the dark orange. So we've just reduced the number of colors. I'm going to hit apply, and then where the boundary is around the perimeter, I'm going to make that a white. So that's this color right here. We're going to make that white. So how cool is that? Being able to actually make adjustments to the color of the clip art before you even download it. And I think that's a really nice kind of a touch to the software, and something that I personally found to be real handy, especially if you're trying to reduce the number of colors in the clip art. And let's download this real quick, and you'll kind of see what it looks like once we bring this into Corel. And same thing, you could download the PDF file and just bring this straight into Adobe Illustrator. So you just pre-downloaded or pre-colored a clip art file before you downloaded it. Pretty slick, huh? So let's show you a little trick in Corel. If you double click on your rectangle tool, it'll create a box around your page, and it's the furthest object to the back. So it's just an easy way to get a page background. The other thing you can do too, you can just click on the little shadow here on the page document and just have it add a background. If you do that, if you go that route, what you're not going to want to do is make that printable. So you go to background and pick a new background color here, solid. And I'll just pick black again, but you just want to make sure that print and export background are turned off. So that's just another way of doing the same thing. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a little deeper dive into the stock art customizer and show you some of the nuance of what you can do with technology. So I'm just going to back up here a little bit, and we're going to go to a design. And I'm just going to type in softball. Now, one thing that's really important is, and most folks get this, and if you've been on the webcast for a while, you understand that, you know, a template is just a template. The copy in the clip art in the template is merely a placeholder. And so we're not going to use the clip art to define the template or the copy to define the template. What we're interested is in the style. And so a file that I like, and I've used in other exercises, is this really nice clean template right here with a multi-layer text effect, a couple different, I think there's 3 different clip art elements, and I'm going to go in and do some editing on this. So when I click on customize, before I even do that, it's already telling me what fonts are used in the design. So I know that the DAS Game Day font, my favorite font, is used in the block text, and the script text is the script casual. Now, if you're working in CorelDRAW and you download the CorelDRAW file, the fonts are going to be embedded in the document. If you're working in Adobe Illustrator and you download the PDF file, you would have to have the fonts installed in your version of Illustrator if you wanted to retype the text and with that same font. And you always want to go in and download the master font set. You click on fonts in GraphicsFlow, you'll see in the upper right, it'll say download fonts. You always want to download and install those fonts. If you're updating those fonts, if you're prompted to replace older files, just say no. And you're just adding the files that you're missing. I noticed that I was using some files in Illustrator, you know, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and I was getting font substitutions, and I was thinking, did I install the new fonts? And I hadn't. There was 190 brand new fonts that were added to GraphicsFlow. I hadn't installed them yet. So I was getting a font substitution on one of the newer templates. But to customize this file, we're just going to go over here and go to Customize. And we're going to kind of take a deeper dive. So every one of these objects right here has its own little editing button. And when you see the word eagles in here twice, the reason you're seeing the word eagles in here twice is this is a multi-layer text effect. So the way this effect was constructed is you had one line of text that has a white fill and a burgundy outline, and then another line of text that has just a very thick outline of this kind of old gold color. And so when I go in and change both layers, it's just automatically going to line up. And you can go in if you choose to and just edit on an individual layer. So if I wanted to grab this far background element here, what I would do is, you know, we just click on it, you go to edit, you can see this is the element that has no fill and just this outline here. And maybe we want to make that gray. So I would just click on that and I can make it gray, or I can make it a color that's already in the design. So maybe I wanted to make it this color that was already in the design just to give it a little bit of flavor. And once you're done with that, you hit apply. If you make a mistake, you got an undo button right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. So we've just done some color consolidation. But what if you want to introduce a completely new color into the design? Same idea, click on this, and we go over and select this kind of navyish blue, and I'll hit apply here, and now we've introduced a new color. And so one of the things you can do, which was kind of nice, is I can go over here and start reversing colors out. So I could go back over here, and where it's, you know, white in the text, I could go over here and select edit over here and maybe reverse this out. So take this outline color and make the outline white now. And here's the colors listed in the design. and then take the fill color, which is right here, the solid color, and make this the burgundy. And then we just reverse the colors out, which I think in this design looks pretty good. So I'm going to go in and kind of play around a little bit with the clip art now, so you can see some of the editing level control we have on the clip art. Now, each one of the design elements in the design is going to have an independent editing function. So we can independently edit each one of those. So if we wanted to try to, maybe get rid of the ribbon, we didn't really like the ribbon, we can just hide that layer. The layer's still there, it's just all the colors are turned off. And so that gives us the ability to turn that layer on or off kind of at our disposal. It's not disposal, it's not deleting the object, it's just turning all the color off. And so I'm going to turn that back on because I like the ribbon. And we are going to go in, we're going to leave the softball in there, but we are going to swap out the eagle. So I'm just going to go over here and click on the edit button here. And this is where we're going to swap out the eagle. So I'm going to hit replace clip art. And from here, I can just type in a keyword search for whatever I'm looking for. So I'm looking for a cougar. I'm going to type in cougar, hit enter. And here's what's kind of neat. If I click on this cougar and I don't like it, I can see how that cougar is going to look. Or we can click on this cougar. Or we can click on this cougar. It's just replacing the previous cougar. That's all it's doing. And putting it right in the center makes it really easy to go do editing. I like that cougar. I'm going to hit apply, but here's what we're going to do that's going to be clever, is we're going to recolor the clip art to match the colors in the design. So I'm going to make that burgundy, and then I'm going to make this color here the dark, kind of the old goldish color. Guess that's more of a mustard. And then this one we're going to make the lighter gold. So I just consolidated all the colors in the clip art into the design, and frankly I don't really like it. So we're going to go over here, and I'm going to use the white that's already in the design, and that's way better. And we're going to use the white. So you just have a huge amount of control. Now, in terms of moving things around, it's not as convenient as just being able to grab something and repositioning, but you can do quite a bit of changing. And each one of these buttons is 5 pixels. So every one of these little squares here, whether it's the gray square or the white square, that's a 5 pixel increment. And so that's a 5 pixel increment. So if I go over here and I make this slightly larger, maybe we make that up to 34. It's going to make that slightly larger. Then what we're going to need to do is just kind of shift this over. And so I can either hit the minus button here and just start nudging it over, or if I want to, I can just reduce this value. So maybe I want to go down here and type in 1235. That's just a relative position in pixels. And maybe I want to move it just a little bit of a nudge over here. You can do that. And then you also have kind of the super nudge. So if you use these are actually a little bit bigger movements here. And so we can get that all kind of situated. And maybe you want to flip it so it's on the other, pointing the other direction, which I think is going to look weird. I think most folks are used to it, kind of everything facing right. Yeah, my brain doesn't compute that. But you have the ability to flip. You can rotate things on an axis. So if you wanted to, have a little bit of angle to that, you can rotate it. And honestly, it's hard to get in trouble. It's a very simple, easy to use, very elegant, clean user interface. I really, really enjoy the simplicity of it, but you still have a fairly powerful amount of control here. And you also have the ability to change layer position. So if you did want to move this behind, which you didn't, which is something you would definitely not want to do, because you're going to basically make it disappear. So if you do that, you can either move it to the front here, or this is where the redo, undo button is kind of handy. So those are the basic ideas. Now, in terms of colors, something to point out, you can mix your own colors. We'll get to that in a second, but these are all hex values right here. Hex values are used for screen coloration. When these download, the files are going to download with RGB colors. If you've changed the colors are automatically going to be RGB. If you left the original colors in the design, they're going to be Pantone. And when you change them, they're going to be changed to RGB. And the reason for that is we're not licensed to use the Pantone colors in the web app. So As nice as it would be to be able to say, hey, Pantone, whatever, even Adobe's not licensing the Pantone colors anymore. They're too expensive to license. It's not something that would be practical to do. But we have all of the RGB colors, and you can easily recolor them to Pantones if you choose to once you bring them into your graphics application. So I'm going to go over here to view all layers again, and we've made our little changes. And the one thing that I am going to do is now start playing colors. So I could, if I wanted to, get rid of the other yellow and just consolidate this down to 2-color. I don't think it's going to look bad. I think if I go over here and maybe make it white. If I go over here, make that white. I think it's going to look pretty good. Yeah, it looks weird. So we are going to cancel out of that. I think it needs that 4th color. They really do. So what we're going to do next is get it to the colors that ultimately that I want. And so we are going to do kind of a red, white, and blue. I've already introduced navy into the design, but what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take all of this burgundy that's currently in the design, and we're going to swap that out with the red color. So I'm just going to hit apply, and it's going to globally change all of the red. Oh, that's my high school colors. That's hitting close to home. And let's go and take let's see here. Let's take the rest of this old gold, and let's try it as navy. We might not like it, but with GraphicsFlow and the stock art customizer, it doesn't take much time to really make changes. Yeah, I kind of dig it. Looks good. I think I'm going to change this to white though. And then we'll hit apply there. And then on the gold, what I'm going to do with the gold is I'm going to change that to like a silvery gray. I think it's going to look pretty good. Yeah, looks great. So where it says season over here and where it says 20XX, I am going to change the color here to white because I just think it's going to pop a little bit better. So we change that to white. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the word 20XX, and I'm going to change that to white. And I think we've got a good looking graphic now. There we go. There's my final answer. So I think it looks really good. It's really simple. We've done some pretty advanced editing on it, kept it pretty clean. We could change the font. So, if I went back here and I was looking at the softball text here and I wanted to change that to a different script font, we just have a crazy number of script fonts. You could type in, just the name of the font if you wanted to. Pull up a font, new font. These are all the GraphicsFlow fonts. See if I could find one that I think will look good. Is this the one we're using right here, right now? I think it is. Let's see. This bulletin font's not bad. Ooh, this is kind of a cool font. Ooh, not loving it. So look at how easy it is to change the font in here. So you can just go in and make a simple little quick change. And we'll do this one right here. And got it. It's all set. Hit apply. And view all layers. And we're back in business. So at this point, I want to save the design. And all these files are being saved in GraphicsFlow. So I've already been doing all these kind of cougary designs here. So when I save this, I'm going to save it into a folder that I set up with these back to school designs. So I'm just going to click on Save Design. And we're going to create a little back to school design. And this is where you download the production file. So again, if I'm going to download, I am going to download a PDF file. And I'll show you why I'm going to do that in a second. Because I'm actually going to build out a web store around this. So I'm going to download, we're just going to call this Cougars. Got quite a few Cougar softball designs done. And you do have to know how to spell. Ball 03. That's the third one. So I'm going to save that as a PDF file. If I'm going to save a production file, I could download the CDR file and do some further editing on it, though I don't see any reason to do that. I think I've got it exactly the way I want it. And then what I'm going to do is I can add it to an art approval. And I have all these BTS files here, back to school. And here's where this gets really interesting, is if I go back to my design And remember, I saved this in my art, and I saved it in that BTS folder. I can just select file and go and do an update on it real quick. Maybe I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, I'm not crazy about the colors. So I go over here and I click on it and I say customize right here, customize, and I can go correct that real quick. So what I'm going to do is reverse out the colors in the cougars. So where the cougar fill is right here, I'm going to click on that and I'm going to make the fill color the blue. And I'm going to make the outline color white is good. I'm going to go back over here to the other layer and I'm going to make the outline color the red. And I like that a lot better. Now watch what happens when I go hit save. So it's going to say, hey, do you want to update the original or do you want to save a new version of it? You want to save a new version of it. And so I'm going to go back to that BTS folder and save it here. And now we have two versions of that same file. So let's go back into that folder where I saved the art. And you'll see you have the original version right here. And then right here's the original and here's the new one. And again, if you want to change this to add it to an art approval, you can add that to an art approval. You can rename it from here. You can download it from here. I could go into all these files and add keyword tags. So if I went over here and then select the files and I wanted to add a keyword tag to all these files, I can do that. So we'll select all these. That one doesn't say cougars, but all of these do. And what I'm going to do is go edit tags. And I'm going to add a tag for the word cougars. I'm going to add a cougar tag. And we're going to hit close. And so now we can search by the word cougar. Now I could have searched by the word central in a lot of these too, because I named these central. But now we've applied a tag to all these files. So if I want to come in and search for cougar, I can just search for cougar and I'm going to find all my, I probably got cougar files all over the place. Yeah, well, those are the only ones I tagged with cougars. So makes it real easy to locate a file and download. And I love this aspect of GraphicsFlow because I'm always digging through folders in my local computer. I was just doing that this morning when I was doing the little slide deck and YouTube video for the new art drop coming up in June, and I was having to search around to find all these files. In GraphicsFlow, it's just everything's so well organized, and I have it all keyword tagged that it's just really easy for me to find a file. And frankly, it's just easier for me to go over here if I'm looking for a design idea. Instead of trying to, go through all the files that I have locally on my computer, I know what I've already downloaded because I can just go over here and go to downloaded, and here's all the downloaded files. I don't have to go and try to find the file I downloaded for my computer. I can just go through and scroll all my downloaded files, and if I want to start editing again, I just click on download, and you're ready to roll. So that's something that I found to be really super convenient. So we've got that file. We downloaded the PDF. I think everybody's got the general idea of the stock art customizer and how it works, but let's have a little bit of fun with that. And what I'm going to do first, I'm actually going to build out a proposal in Inksoft with this particular file. And I'm going to go to my Inksoft demo store. So with my new job, I'm very involved in the training for both Inksoft and Printavo. And so I've had to learn this, and I was surprised at how easy it was to build a store. I was kind of shocked. I thought it was going to be this big, mysterious thing, but it isn't. And so when you build a store in Inksoft, what you're doing, initially you go through a process. It's kind of like a wizard. And so if I go over here and I click on build a store, select stores, and I want to, create a store, I just hit the little button here, and it just walks me through step by step how I want the store to be built. What logo I want to use, what do I want to call it. It's just a step-by-step process that we go through, and it'll tell you your progress. If you log out of here and you don't complete the store, it'll tell you you're at step 8. And so this is just a little process you do, and it's automatically going to generate a URL for the store once I, type in the name. So the process of setting up a store is really pretty easy. So I set up a store earlier, and that store was for Central Cougars. And I'm going to go select that store. And This is the main store I was using. So it was Central Cougars Booster Club. Yeah, here it is. So I went through the little wizard and I set this store. Now, here's something that's really important to recognize. When I create this store, it has a look and feel. It has a color scheme. It has the address for the company, all the social media for the organization, has a logo. It has all of the, kind of look and feel and appeal to that. When I create a proposal, I'm going to affiliate the proposal to this store. And that's going to pull in the logo and the colors and all, the address for the customer into the proposal. So here's my little store, and we'll go back and edit that store in a little bit. But here's the little web store I've taken, and you notice it has its own little URL. So I'm going to put that URL in the chat. So if any of you guys live want to go in and join me, if you're not on the live, here's the URL right here. So there's your URL for the store right there. You can get, this store is going to stay open for another 35 days because I got it set up on a countdown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to proposals. So why do I want to do a proposal? I want to get paid. So A, I want to create a virtual sample and get the idea in front of the customer. And B, I want to get paid because I don't want to have to wait for credit terms. I don't want to have to be chasing a customer down to pay me. I'm just going to, for lack of a better word, I'm going to smoke it past the customer. I'm just going to say, hey, listen, this is how we do business. Everything's prepaid up front, and I'm going to send you a proposal. You approve the product, the art, and the quantities and everything. You hit go, pay for it online, and then I'll process your order. And that's what Inksoft proposals are. And you could also consider this to be like a online order form. I guess you can make an argument of that because it is going to create a little web page. But this is a separate entity for an e-commerce store. E-commerce stores got a URL. People can go visit it anytime they want, where the proposal is kind of a one-time thing. And so what I would do is I would say create. I'm going to create a proposal, and I'm going to add a customer to this proposal. Now, if the customer is already affiliated with the store, it's going to associate this customer with the store. Now, that's what would happen if I picked Greg because he's associated with the store, but I don't have Greg Martinez over here associated with the store because if I did, it would automatically populate the Central Booster store into my store. So I'm just going to select Greg. He's not affiliated with the store. He is affiliated with Heritage Motors, but we're going to go ahead and add him. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to name the proposal, and we'll just call this Central Cougars Softball right there. And I'm going to assign this to the Central High Boosters Club. So we're going to assign it. So what that's doing when I assign it to that store is it's pulling in the look and feel and all the, even things like pricing methods, like the pricing that we're using for that store. It's going to pull in shipping methods. It's going to pull in, if you have a special pickup method, that side, all the tax details for that particular customer. And that's one of the advantages of linking a proposal to a store because it connects all the variables together. And so I can put in an expiration date, in-hands date. It's already set up for tax. I can put any notes in here. If I have specialized payment details, one of the things that we do now on the Inksoft side, because we're our own payment processor, we have ACH or just doing a traditional credit card payment. So there's a lot. I don't think I have ACH enabled in my account. That's something you have to opt into. So I'm just creating this proposal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that art first. So the first thing I'm going to do is add the art. And I'm going to go over here and upload that PDF file that I saved into my downloads folder. And because that PDF file is vector, that means I'm going to be able to go in and do colorways. And you'll see what colorways looks like in a second. This file might be a little bit tricky to do a colorways with. So it's processing that file. It's parsing out all the vectors and all the colors in it. I'm going to hit done. So we have the artwork right there. And I'm going to save this proposal real quick. I'm just updating it. There we go. And then what I can do is add a product now. So now I'm going to go over here, and I could have added the art while I was creating the product, but I'm just going to add a product. And so what's going to show up when I add the product, the existing products that I'd already kind of pre-decorated are going to show up in here. So I've already, I've populated this particular store with quite a bit of artwork. But what I can do is now I can just introduce a new graphic in here, and I'm going to introduce Gildan 2000 t-shirt. So I'm just going to type in 2000. I could just type in Gildan. So all the product feeds from all the different suppliers that you're used to working with, Alpha, SNS, Sanmar, all those folks, the product are actually built into Inksoft, including the photography and real-time pricing. And so if I need to find a particular product in here, and let's see here, I'm going to go to t-shirts, and I'm going to pull up my little t-shirt right here, and let's see here. So the product is going to pull up for this store are products that I set up for what's called Wrap Out of Creator. So I already pre-selected a series of products that are going to be used for this store, and it's just limiting the products. So these are products I've already pre-selected. So I'm searching within my pre-selected products. Now, if I want to, I can go down here and I can expand my search out of my pre-selected products and add a product from just the entire database of hundreds of thousands of products. But I'm just going to click on this little 50/50 t-shirt here. And I'm going to choose two colors. I'm going to choose ash, and I'm going to choose a navy blue if we've got one. If not, we're going to do red. So navy blue and ash. And I'm just going to say next. And I'm going to go ahead and add the art. So remember, it's the last file I created. So I can go in and add another piece of art if I want to. But one thing I'm going to do on this art is I'm going to click on it and I'm going to add a colorway. So right now I have the colorway that's going on the ash, but I have a different colorway. I've actually already pre-selected this one, but we can go in and create the mock-up here if we want to. And actually we'll go back because I'm going to just show you how colorways work. So let's add a color. Let's add red. So I'm going to add red to this. So we're going to add red. I'm going to hit done. And I need to create a new colorway probably for red. So for red, I need to probably take this red color here and reassign it to either navy or reassign it to white. I think I'm going to assign that to white. So I'm going to select the red. I'm going to reassign it to a color it's already in the graphic. White, yeah, that's going to look pretty good on red. So what we're going to do over here is on the red variant, we need to save our colorway first. So on the red variant, I'm going to use the colorway that I just set up for red. So here's my colorway for red. And so I've got all my different colorways that I've got set up. And I'm going to say create mockup. And I've got all these different products in here. And this is where, for the proposal, this is where you'd put all the products in. Now, in this case, I think I'm only going to do the two colors. So I'm going to get rid of this item and get rid of this item. And I'm just going to do these two colors. Looks pretty good. And so let's put in some quantities. And get that all set up. This is a quotation. This is automatically going to convert to an invoice too. So once I have this set up as a quotation, it's going to convert over to an invoice once the customer approves it, and then it's going to go into the job manager, and then you're going to process out the file. So we've got that all set up. And let's see here. And we're going to pick our decoration method. So this is going to be a screen print. Color count is going to be, appears to be 3 colors plus an underbase. So I'm going to count for the underbase. There's no decoration method on the back. And so once I have my art estimate, we're going to add it to the proposal. I've got a pricing grid set up. So it's going to automatically price this based on the grid that I've set up. I can go in and override the pricing if I want to, but it went to my pricing grid. It pulled real-time pricing out of the Sanmar catalog, added my decoration cost based on the pricing grid I had set up, and so it's already pre-priced. And then if I want to, I can go in here and edit and override pricing. So I could go over here and say, yeah, I want to get another 50 cents out of this. So once we have this, we're just going to save the proposal. So think of this as kind of a quote at this point, but we still need to get this in front of the customer, don't we? So the idea is, you know, we've got kind of the basic from quote down here, but we need to get this in front of the customer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here, and I'm just going to say customer view, And I can just send this over to the customer right here. So I can just go over here and just send it. But I'm going to go to customer review. I'm going to show you what the proposal looks like before we send it. So I just say preview as a proposal or as a quote or an invoice, but we're going to do it as a proposal. And the proposal is going to look like it's a web page, and it's just an interactive little web page where the customer can see the art, the quantities, and pay. So, so the colors and everything is coming from the web page I set up. So I'm going to click on view proposal. If Greg wants to take a closer look at the art, you can go and view the details. You can just blow up the art too, because the art's attached to this as well. So if Greg wants to look at the art, you can do that. So here's the art, and we can blow it up nice and big. And then to approve and pay, all Greg has to do is just click on the little approve and pay, and it'll just walk him through the payment process. So I'm going to pay. You can set this up so it's only requiring 50% down. That's it. You can also set this up with credit terms as well. So you have complete latitude with that. And if you enable ACH in your account, then you can have them pay by ACH, which is nice for bigger orders because you don't have to pay the same kind of credit card processing fees. So I'm going to say, hey, total balance, next. I do have ACH enabled in my account. And so credit card right here, put in their card, they pay, they're done. And then they have what's called their own portal. So Greg can go into his portal and view all of his past orders and reorder and do all that kind of stuff. But let's take this same product that we just created, and then let's spin that into our store that we created. So I'm going to go back to my Inksoft stores, and let's go tweak the store out a little bit, and we'll add that product to the store. Pretty simple. We'll add a few products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my store, Central High Boosters, right here. So the point I kind of get into is being able to go in and quickly and easily localize a design with the stock art customizer, get it into a proposal, get it over to a client. It's kind of awesome. I know a whole bunch of you looking at the list of people that are on here today are Inksoft users. So you get a little bit of Inksoft training here too. But this applies to other e-commerce platforms as well. If you're using a different e-commerce platform, same idea. So I'm going to go over here to Style Editor, and this is where I set up my web page. And each one of these areas is what's called a block. So if I wanted to come over here and click on this block and maybe edit this, maybe reset the timer, let's reset the timer. So manage end date. I've got it set to end on June 30th. I'm going to extend that out to, we're going to extend that out to maybe July 7th, right after the 4th. So I just reset the timer now, give myself a little bit of time. I could have gone over here when I hit edit and changed the color, but I think the color looks good. But we can introduce an additional color into here. Let's maybe introduce that gray. Yeah, it looks cool actually with the gray. And we've got this product. So let's get this product out of here. And actually let's you know what? Let's change this. Let's get this out of here. And let's add another component. So I'm going to go and add a new component. I'm just going to hit the little plus button here. And we're going to do a component that has two products. So I'm just going to say layout right here that has two. And I already had data loaded in there. So I'm just going to do a start from scratch because I'm just going to manually edit those products in here. And before I even do that, I'm actually going to change the order. So if I scroll down, this is going to be those new products I added are going to be blank and at the bottom of my page. So I'm just going to click this little button here, and then I'm just going to drag that up right below the little timeline there, and I'm going to hit done. So now we'll have to scroll back up the page, and let's add the products. So what I was doing when I was creating those products, I was using something called Rapid Product Creator. That's what creates the mockups, gets the product built. So those are like saved now as stock products for this store and for those proposals as well. So I'm just going to say manage products, and I'm going to add a couple products in here that aren't already in the store. So the list of products that aren't available in the store yet are right over here. So we're going to add this product over here. We're going to add that. Let's see here. We'll maybe add something else down in here. Maybe we'll add this one right here. And then I'll hit done. And then there's your 2 products in the store. And I can't go in and configure what product is going to be displayed. Now, here's something that's really important. When this is created, it's got the vector art loaded into the system. And so when it's creating the virtual sample, it's actually pulling in the blank product and putting the vector art on there. And what reason that's important is, like, if you're using like a non-industry specific software, you got to create product photography for every single color variation. So if you had 7 colors in your store, you'd have to create a mock-up with all 7 colors. In Ixoft, you don't have to do that. It'll just take the graphic, you just connect the shirt color to the colorway, and it automatically generates the photography. That's such a huge advantage. And so what I'm going to do next is save my store. And I think the colors are looking pretty good. Yeah, everything looks good. I'm going to save my store. And then we'll come back and just take a little preview. We'll get out of editing view. And we'll just take a look at what the store looks. This is what the store looks like right now. So now we've added these products. If you scroll all the way down to the page, and this is mobile responsive, the customer can, pull this up on their phone. When looking at e-commerce, I know from the statistics, I don't think I have the newest statistics, but I know on Inksoft last year, I think 70% of the orders came through a mobile device, either a tablet or also utilizing a phone. And that's how people want to buy these days. And so one of the advantages of, creating a store, in my opinion, is you just made it really super easy for your customers to buy from you, but you're also getting paid up front. You can offer a little wider scope of products, creates a sense of urgency, but the main thing is it just ties your customers up. And it was interesting. I was talking to a customer in Canada recently, and she was pretty down, and she was complaining that one of the local suppliers in her area, one of her competitors, was just locking her out of all these school customers because they were doing stores for them. And I said, well, you got to fight fire with fire. The reason that you're getting locked out is that you don't have an e-commerce capability, and you're still in the land of, paper order forms and, all that kind of stuff. And this other customer, they're basically doing a revenue share program with your schools, and the school doesn't have to put any money out. There's no PO involved. They just launch a store. The students and the faculty, and parents just buy from the store. They give them a percentage, and it's just a hassle-free way to do business. Says you're going to have to adjust the way that you approach the business because this other company has figured this out. And she's like, yeah, that's really good advice. And that's good advice for all of you. It's in the modern age, it's the one thing I've learned is you have to make it easy for people to buy from you. And if you're still able to get away with paper order forms, you consider yourself to be very fortunate. But also Main Street USA, if you look at, the amount of commerce that's done face-to-face these days, it's quite a bit less because I think a lot of people just prefer, especially younger people, just prefer to go on a website and place the order and be done with it. I mean, how convenient is this? And the way that this order would process is 42. Once this expires, this customer would collate all the orders. They get all the orders batched together. They would do all the production, and based on the agreement they made with the customer, they might deliver them in bulk, or they might have, you could set up and do individual delivery because you've collected all the customer's data when they place their order. But if you're going to do that, you're going to charge a pretty hefty fee to do that. So this kind of process works even if you don't do your own production. And one of the, I feel like one of the really good production processes for doing stores like this is transfers. Now with like the super transfers, with the digital hybrid transfers, full color, very good cost, low minimums. If you took a flyer in the store and maybe you only had 12 of these were ordered, but 240 of these were ordered, you can still do the 12 because Supercolor's got a 10-piece minimum. So you're paying a little bit more for the transfer, but you can still make money on it. And this one, you might elect just get this one screen printed because you have 240 shirts. So that's one of the beautiful things about the new transfer technologies that you're seeing for doing dark garments and full color and 100% cotton, all the different cotton compositions for the apparel. Being able to do that with the digital transfer is, in my opinion, a game changer. So you guys have seen kind of the whole gamut. As long as you're on an Elite account and you go to design ideas and you click on a graphic and you're going to click on that customizer button and you're going to be a happy camper. How do you like that? All right. Thanks for joining me for today, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. Thanks so much.